To Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
What a time in the history of the United States of America. Some fascinating music came out of one of the horrendous scars that still imbides itself in the fabric of this nation. And here on Trento Vision, good afternoon, on the second day of January 2013 so far. I've not said 2012. That's pretty good. But on the second day of January, the first day of the recognition of the Emancipation Proclamation. That is the implementation, January 1, 1863. Quick, somebody, how many years ago was that? 1863, 2012. We'll let the mathematicians work on that, but we welcome you to another extravaganza of...
Sorry, I'm doing a computer thing here. So
oh, you're doing that? Well,
yeah.
your iPhone has a calculator.
Okay, but I'm working.
Oh, you're working, okay. Well, we have two other mathematicians in here. 1863 to 2013. It's 150 years. It is the, let me say this correctly. It is the sesquicentennial. Sesquicentennial. How's that? Say that 3 times fast, CJ.
I am working.
Mark, say that 3 times fast.
Sesquicentennial.
You can't do it.
3 times fast, 3 times fast, 3 times fast.
Mike, say sesquicentennial 3 times fast.
Sesquicentennial.
Okay. It's the sesquicentennial. Now we know that. That means 150. 150th, that's not, and the kind of work we do talking about ancient Israel and Egypt and all of this, thousands and thousands of years, CJ. Thousands and thousands of years. What do you...
Joe says, you said say that 3 times. That.
Yeah, he's funny. Smoke your make-believe cigarettes, Joe, and they were the fake smoke that goes out. Michael used to smoke those things.
Me too.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Do they have fake cigars like that? Do they?
No, I don't think so.
No. Sesquicentennial. 150th anniversary of the implementation of the Emancipation Proclamation here on your American History Channel on WNN 1470. We of late have been using the unique dates, the current dates, to look at unique American history and then make relevant analysis of it to our situation today. And then by application to mobilize the ground troops, you guys out there, the Tea Party folks, the conservative patriots. I don't know about the leftist Democrats, because you guys, according to the history of the United States of America, you liked slavery. It was the Republicans and a Republican president that wanted to emancipate a group of people. And sadly, today, with this administration, in a very slick kind of... what's the Kafkaesque in a Kafkaesque manner, this administration is enslaving a group of people who are somewhat willing, as many of the slaves back then were willing to participate in the system because it provided comfort away from the difficulties of life on some of the plantations and all of that. So we're going to take a look at the anniversary, the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, and then we're going to apply it today to our current situation. We're going to make application in terms of what needs to happen in 2013 to defeat the left and this whole idea of being subservient, not only physically, but psychologically and economically to the boss man in Washington, okay? Because this is getting old. This is getting really old. And we're going to take a look at some difficult times in the history of the United States of America. But you're here with Tom Trento. CJ, say hello.
Hello, CJ.
Mark is over there.
Hello, Mark.
Doing some work on the ground. And we displaced Mark a little bit yesterday.
No, he liked where he was sitting
Did
yesterday.
like it? Okay. Oh, that's right. He did like
That's
it.
right.
That's
I
right.
moved up to the adult table.
Yeah. And Mike, say hello, Mike. Hey, we're all here on a beautiful Wednesday. It's 75 degrees and inside the studio. And you always want to know that because you will never see us sweat. You'll never see us sweat in here. But what is it outside in Boca Raton, Florida? Mouth of the Rat, Florida.
Okay, it is. Dun, da, da, da. Wow, 77 degrees. And sunny.
Really nice. It's really nice. Yeah, we can
Yeah, it's a
see
nice
out
day.
there. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And for
So
all
if
of
you're
you,
outside, stay outside as long as you can still hear the radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Put the car radio up very loudly, or hook up your iPhone with iHeartRadio. You need to get that little application, not only for us, because once you get that application and you're like a blues fan, man, you can groove to the blues wherever you want to with your little iHeartRadio.
Right.
And you have a fairly newer car. You could probably hook up your iPhone to your car. What does she need, Mark? Like a wire or something? Or
No,
She
she needs
needs a new
something very,
brain.
very complicated.
what is it?
A plug.
A plug.
A plug. Okay, you plug your phone
It's
into
an ID 10T connection.
Oh, okay. You know what that is? A plug. That's nerd technical talk for a plug. But all you have to do is plug your phone into your car.
Spell it out.
Plug.
ID.
Plug.
No.
ID 10
10T
IDT
ID 10T connection.
ID it. Idiot connection. That's Mark's.
That's geek speak.
Yeah,
Or like what we call users. We say users is also like the geek code word for.
It's okay. My computer blew up here.
Or
I'm okay.
the user had a problem, so that's like code word for idiot. Too,
Yes.
So.
This is network engineer.
This is what we-
jokes from the joke book. Mark's a network engineer.
Do you have a
And,
little picture of
yeah, we
me
do.
up on
They
top
do.
of your computer when you're
A
working?
user.
How would I explain this to CJ? And now I know how to write the manual.
The user has a problem.
That's the way it works. All right. But iHeartRadio, use that application. You can listen to all the WNN 1470 shows, and one of those shows is every morning from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. I know you're up nice and early because the early bird catches the worm in this world today. And we have to get up a bit earlier and put a few more hours into the day. I went to bed about 10:30 last night. I was exhausted and woke up. I got to have 4 hours. If I can get 4 hours, I'm fine. If I got 6 hours, it's the end of the world. I woke up 3:30, wide awake, and I go, what the heck? When you're awake, there's no sense staying in bed. So I got up, did a little work on the computer, went to the gym, and then around 8 o'clock, I start crashing again. I just laid on the chair watching the news.
Do you have a cup of coffee?
I did before that, but then I started, in my dream, a phone was vibrating. Right? Mm-hmm. And I woke up, and my real phone was vibrating. Mm-hmm. Somebody was outside. I had to go meet with them. But I could have taken my phone when I went outside to run an errand and put on iHeartRadio and listened to Steve
Kane and Brian Craig
in the mornings. They start the day off cleansing your brain from whatever occurred during the night. They will set you straight on all things Obama. Now, you got to understand, the Trento Vision show, we started on September 3rd, 2012, and we were going to go for a couple of months through the election, and our express purpose for existence, our raison d'etre, okay? The reason why we did what we did was to awaken the voting population in Florida and around the United States to vote intelligently on November 6th, which meant to defeat President Obama. We failed.
How'd that work out for us, guys?
We failed, okay? We did not accomplish our raison d'etre. We changed our raisins. But we said, you know what? We did have an impact that we measured. And maybe we can modify our focus and keep informing our good friends out there, many of whom are in. Oh, Mark, I got an email about you. I got to read it.
What I did.
One of our viewers is not too happy with you. I'll read it. I'll do the little opening here. We're going to deal with in a little bit the Emancipation Proclamation. We're going to look at the Civil War. Unbeknownst to me, and I usually know any and everything about our team, every aspect of their life, except where CJ was on New Year's Eve. We still haven't figured that out. But unbeknownst to me, I decided to do Emancipation Proclamation last night when I realized it was the quintessential centennial celebration. Does anybody remember the word?
Sesquicentennial.
Anybody remember?
Sesquicentennial.
No. Okay, there we go. Yes. When I realized it was that 150-year thing. But unbeknownst to me, CJ brings her little la-ti-ta-ti-ta book in this morning. Show everybody your book that you carry around with you.
Oh, okay. Can you see that?
John Keegan's The American Civil War.
For those of you who don't have eyes to see and you're driving in your car and we don't want you turning your iPhone, you can actually watch TrentoVision.tv and watch all of this on your iPhone. But she is reading a book on the Civil War. Now, why did you pick that up?
Well, it was in the bargain books at Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
And actually I've read probably about a half dozen books by the same author, John Keegan. The First World War, The Face of Battle, World Armies, The Mask of Command, The Price of Admiralty, The Second World War.
Why'd you start reading that one, though?
Because I've never found a Civil War book that I liked reading. And I like all of his other books, so I thought, now is finally my chance to learn something about the Civil War.
Is it good?
It's really good.
So this in the approved category of CJ's Book Club.
Yes.
Okay,
CJ's
good.
Book Club.
What about the approved?
Do you want to do CJ's Book Club?
Oh,
because I read a lot of kind of out there stuff.
Oh, I know Jessica wants to do Jessica's Book Club, too.
We can do book club. We can do anything we want.
We can do whatever we
want.
want.
There are no rules on this show. The only rule is we got to tell people about the contest that we're starting pretty soon. Next week we'll start it.
Next week we'll start the contest. And the contest will be a Mort's Art Contest. What you do is you send us your idea that you have for a cartoon, such as something to do with current events, national security, your worldview, and send us that idea to tom@trentovision.tv, and we will judge all of the submissions, and then we will submit the submission that is the winner to our resident artist, editorialist, and commentator, Mozart, who will custom draw you a cartoon and sign it for you, suitable for framing and passing down to your grandchildren.
That sounds cool. And if you, for the Italian people out there, it's okay to submit your proposed ideas in the typical envelope.
Italian fashion.
In the envelope.
Yeah.
And if something else finds its way into the envelope, that's the way life works. We all get a little taste of what's going on here. So we're more than willing to...
But if you go to the website, the Trento Vision website?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Not yet?
The Ask Our Network engineer.
Yeah,
what's going on?
When are the...
It's coming.
When's our archive going to be posted?
It's coming.
It's coming. Okay.
Well, the archives are up. The archive shows. We should tell everybody that. that we've done over 100 shows, and if you have 100 spare hours, yeah. Well, yes, because each show is 3.
Okay.
So
we
when
didn't
you have
have a cake or anything.
when you have a spare 100 hours, just go back. Actually, you can go back and they're titled, and you can take a look at what you want. Going back to September 3rd, remember we had Victoria Jackson on in one of the early days.
Yeah.
She'll be back. She wants to be on the show, and Mark wants to put a list together of current and potential guests we could have.
So we got a long list.
We have a long list.
And we want to do bios on them and everything like that, give you a little bit more in-depth information on them.
Do we want people to suggest guests?
Sure. They want to suggest guests. I mean,
get them.
We can pretty much get anybody,
Except the bad guys. They don't like coming here. But we're going to go after them. We're going to try to get the bad guys on. So watch Steve and Brian, 6 to 9. Do iHeartRadio. Get ready for the Mort contest.
So who's unhappy with me, Tom?
And please send
Who's unhappy with me, Tom?
your suggestions. And create more work for CJ.
The viewer that's unhappy, I don't think it rises to the level of you needing Peter Feynman as a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
I think, but speaking of Peter Feynman, great Palm Beach attorney. He's based in Palm Beach, but he's good for the whole state. If you need a good business lawyer or a good individual to refer you to other lawyers, Peter Feynman, FeynmanLaw.com. You'll see that up on the screen in a second. By the way, lady and gentlemen, Peter will be here next week on this day, a week from today.
He's coming on Wednesday?
He's coming on Wednesday because he's hosting on Friday.
Right.
I have to go to the north. Mark, we both go. We're all going north, except you. You're staying here.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of going north.
Yeah, you're going to Orlando.
Right.
I'm going to Myrtle Beach to speak at the South Carolina Tea Party Convention. And we figured as great a speaker and communicator Peter Feynman is, it gets a little tricky making this stuff work. So he's going to come in for a little rehearsal next Wednesday. We're going to have him sit as a guest, then we're going to put him over here, and then he's going to run the show for a little bit, and then we're going to laugh our heads off, and then he's going to solo with you on Friday.
Okay.
So, but he'll be in next Wednesday, Peter Feynman. And let me see what else. I'm going to stick to the schedule today.
Okay.
Tea Party Solutions.
By the way, if you want to get in touch with Peter Feynman, you can go to FeynmanLaw.com. That is his website.
FeynmanLaw.com, is that up there? I'm getting a text for Michael Farris. Michael Farris is a phenomenal, I know Michael Farris for a long time, one of the early pioneers in the homeschool movement, and he would be a great guest along those ways. Let's put Michael Farris down on the list, Farris. That's a good suggestion. And let's see, Tea Party Tribune, TLS Solutions, TeaPartyTribune.com. What's that all about, Mark?
That's the access point for all information on Tea Party, and also all the access on current events. And it also has a link to the Tea Party community where you can join up as a Facebook site, and it is actually a very good avenue of which to gather and maintain your information.
Okay, so go there, TeaPartyTribune.com. That takes care of our supporters, our sponsors, our friends right now. We're going to go.
What's my hate email?
You want to know
my hate email?
This hour?
It's not hate mail.
Okay, because we have a list for the next hours too.
Yeah, no, we got some other stuff. Yeah, we're going to.
So all you people who are counting on being identified, you will be.
You will be identified.
Yes.
All right, I got an email this morning. And I'm just going to read it to you.
Okay.
No editorial comment. I'll just read it. You can comment however you wish you may. Tom, every morning, every whatever the time is,
right.
I listen to the first hour of the Trento Vision show.
Right.
I notice now that on several occasions, co-host Mark Campbell speaks about the extreme right as if it exists, and if fascism or Nazism is extreme right! ! If
fascism or Nazism is extreme right.
This is utter nonsense.
I never said
Let me finish.
Okay.
Don't you? You'll have a chance to respond. This is utter nonsense. For National Socialism is an extreme left ideology. To be on the right means you are for traditional, sometimes called biblical values. Now, how can that ever be extreme? If one would take an extreme conservative position, What's wrong with that?
All right. There's two types of.
Perhaps Mark listens to his wife too much, who is a progressive. The myth that Nazism, extreme right, was brought into the world by progressives. I hope you can. Let me finish. I hope you can correct this on your show. We don't want a misunderstanding about this.
Okay. First of all,
now you can defend yourself.
Nazism.
Defend yourself
Politically.
Right.
Nazism and all the far left socialists, even communism. Actually, it's actually a circle. If you want to look at it in one way, it's not. There's a myth that there's an extreme left and extreme right. It's actually a circle.
Yes, it's just right wing versus left wing Hegelianism.
But what it is it's the ideology that wants to deny personal rights and supplant them with a government or a state or religion. So if you want to look at it in the leftist aspect, I can see what you're saying, that it's completely leftist. But the terminology as far as religion is concerned that we use is far left and far right on a religious scale. Well, the problem is with Islam, if you keep going more and more doctrinal with Islam, it becomes further and further right on a scale, which is actually left political. Okay, but this
is an age-old problem.
But the further you go right and when they start following Sharia to the letter, they become more and more rightist religiously, but politically they're actually leftist because they're denying rights of humans as individuals, and putting the state in this case above all else, above individual rights, which is what we're talking about today. Is individual rights in slavery, for example, is actually a far left ideology politically. Okay, but
to enslave people, one person owns and controls another.
But in Islam, for example, it is a consistent doctrinal methodology, which is far right religiously, and we have a really hard problem.
This is why I need to have my coffee at the beginning of the show.
Well, the point being is we have a hard time, and because he's actually bringing up a good point, because we get confused oftentimes with words, because words have meanings.
Mm-hmm. Especially on this show, words have meanings.
Fundamentalism, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's your favorite.
This is my favorite one right here.
That's your favorite, yeah.
A fundamental Christian and a fundamental Islamist are completely two different, thought processes. But the left media has managed to lump them both in as one. So, Tom being more closer to a fundamentalist Christian.
I am absolutely a fundamentalist Christian.
But a fundamentalist Islamist is so far to the right of you as far as denying people freedoms, denying people.
Well, but the word fundamental is the loci is a place where you locate a position.
This is so interesting.
On the fundamentals. Now you have to.
They go into literal and inerrant in Islam, where every word inside the Quran is absolute, without error, and cannot be taken or interpreted in any way whatsoever form. That is the idea of a fundamentalist Islamist.
No.
Okay, here's what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to Google the meaning of meaning. And
we ask Bill Clinton, what does "is" mean?
What is
"is"? What is "is"?
Yeah.
Now, the issue that this writer raises is very, very important, because I've been dealing with this battle for 25 years. Left, right, all of that. They presuppose and they require a starting point.
Right.
So the starting point, once you define the starting point, then you have a context by which to include left or right, extreme or not extreme. So, and then when we just use the words without a starting point for that particular philosophy, then they all get blurred together by the mainstream media. Fundamentalist Christians like a fundamentalist jihadi. So, but for this person, they think you're following your wife's progressivism too much. That's what they think.
No.
Perhaps Marx listens to his wife, who's a progressive.
No. Actually, my wife is actually not progressive at all. She's actually very not.
Now, why did they steal the term progressive? I mean, progressive is a very positive term. You're progressing But were they progressing from to? I would ask the progressives, if there's any out there, 888-565-1470. What do you mean by progressive? We debated that guy Jack whatever in one of those debates.
Yeah.
He kept referring to himself as a progressive.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What are you progressing from to?
Right.
You know, and it's away from the Constitution is what it boils down to.
And it's like, we're going to fundamentally change America. All right, you're going to fundamentally. What do you mean by that?
What does that mean, Mr. President?
I mean, it can go both ways, and people always assume the positive.
You're forgiven.
But on the point of fundamentalism, I just want to get this straight: is when you define fundamentalism, it says the beliefs of this movement. That is your more definition of fundamentalism. On the Islamic side, is the strict and literal adherence to a set of biblical not biblical principles, but of Quranic principles. And the strict adherence to those principles makes them fundamentalists in the Sharia manner, and it's completely on a scale of 1 to 10, if you will. I mean, they are at 10 where you must kill your daughter for having sex outside marriage, which you don't believe that. But there's two different things. What I'm saying is people try to lump that fundamentalism.
I'll describe fundamentalism that more succinctly that will be able to be used all over. Fundamentalist believes in the fundamentals of that particular faith.
Yeah,
that's all.
That's one definition inside the dictionary. Yes, but there is another definition.
No. That's what a fundamentalist is. I believe in the fundamentals of the faith. If I'm a fundamentalist Satanist, then that takes me into a path that's quite bizarre and very interesting, actually.
Well, can you be a non-fundamentalist Satanist? I mean,
yes,
is that something you can just casually be a Satanist, but you don't do
I'm
what?
a weekend Satanist,
You're
but
a
I don't
weekend
do.
Satanist?
I don't sacrifice animals. I don't have sexual rituals with young children, and all the stuff that the Satanists do. But in terms of if you're a fundamentalist Muslim, you believe in the fundamentals of that faith. What are the fundamentals? Well, all the stuff you're talking about.
Well, no, but the thing about it is, it's the strict adherence that I'm talking about. Is the strict adherence of the Sharia text?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, makes that person in Islam. The far left as you go in Islam, in Arabic countries, compared it to you, they'd still be far right of your values as far as their strict literal interpretation of their beliefs. I mean, as you're not pro-homosexual. You're okay, all right, that's okay. But you don't believe that you should be killed. Well, Islamic fundamentalists, the imams, the clerics, and everything, who are the strict Islamic fundamentalists over there, believe that you should kill gays.
They're following the fundamentals of the faith.
Sure. Yeah, but Joey Falwell, who follows the fundamentals of the faith, does not believe that homosexuals should be killed.
You're putting the strength on the term fundamentals, when fundamentals is a car. You have the I'm doing a simple analogy.
Right.
You have the fundamental car. This is the car that will take you on your journey. I'm in the fundamental car of Christianity. Osama bin Laden is in the fundamental car of Islam. We're both in the fundamental car versus the car that's to the it doesn't believe in all the fundamentals of the faith. A fundamental of the Christian faith is the historical birth and death of Jesus Christ. That's a fundamental of Christianity. You cannot be a Christian if you don't believe in the historic reality of Jesus Christ, that he was born, he lived, and he died. And so many people that call themselves Christians believe it was a myth, the myth Christ, the Christ myth. They're in the non-fundamental car. I'm in the fundamental car. There's only 4 or 5, 6 fundamentals of Christianity. I'm in that car. Osama bin Laden believes in the fundamentals of Islam. We're both fundamentalists. His car, following his fundamental beliefs, takes him to the pit of hell, takes him into the bad places. My car takes me into good places. That's all.
Okay, let's move on. I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm going to move on.
How could you disagree with that?
Because you do not think that every word in the Bible is literal and inerrant.
I absolutely do.
And inerrant. So you should believe on stone people on gathering wood on Sundays.
Well, there's a thing.
Is that what you believe? Do you believe? All right, well, then you don't. That's what literally.
I do.
But it literally it says without that you should stone people for gathering wood on the Sabbath.
Okay, it says that. So how can I hold both positions?
Everybody must get
How can I hold?
That's what I'm saying. Now, if that were,
How can I
Which
hold
it
both
is.
positions? How can I hold that the Bible is inerrant? That's my position.
Okay.
And how can I hold that we ought not be stoning people for any
Tell me.
reasons? Well, do you think I have an answer?
Yeah.
Spending, I don't know, 10 years
Go ahead.
studying
Go ahead.
as a theologian.
Go ahead.
There is the. It's
I'm
called,
going to have to move us along.
it's called
on
I
the-
tried
this.
to,
That's
but
actually-
he brought it back.
No, no, no,
This
no,
is
no,
actually
no, no.
interesting. No, this is.
We have a caller on the line.
We'll get him in a minute. We'll
Okay.
get him in a minute. Being a fundamentalist, Christian fundamentalist, you allow for the proper translation of the text, and the translation has a unique application at a particular cultural time.
All right, go ahead.
So the overriding theory is that God has worked in unique ways through history, and with the nation of Israel, he worked in a very direct, unique way, where the laws were given for a particular application at a particular time. And the rabbis will agree with that. So therefore, the rabbis will tell you stoning people today, and that's not in the New Testament. There's no stoning people in the New Testament.
Okay.
But I believe the whole Bible, even the Hebrew Bible, is the Word of God.
Even
That, yeah. So I accept all the tough stuff that people say, oh my God, what happened back then? I accept that as actually what God said, what he did, but it's an interpretation that's applied for a particular cultural application. Now, some of the principles that occurred back then apply today, like the Ten Commandments, Exodus chapter 20, written when the nation of Israel was moving out. Many of those all of those are applicable today. But it doesn't diminish the fact that the Bible is inerrant and all the Word is the Word of God, inspired by man.
My point being is,
But it doesn't take me to kill people.
Yeah,
Doesn't lead me to kill
You
people.
have rationalized it.
I haven't rationalized it.
But you have rationalized it through interpretation or through whatever doctrine.
Properly interpreted.
Properly doctrine,
Yes, of course,
okay. And you have said this is
And
it.
those guys are properly interpreted.
But when you take something literally and inerrant, literally, not without interpretation, literally means without interpretation.
No, it doesn't.
Zach, what the word is actually saying. There is no interpretation in Islam. You read the word and that's what you say. That's what it is. That's the difference in the fundamentalist. There is no independent thought in Islam.
Well, now you've raised an accurate point.
finally, right?
No. I mean, in
No.
terms of
Listen to that.
in terms of the critical analysis and all of that. I mean, the whatever it says, and they have interpretation too. They have commentaries, all of that.
Yeah.
And the moderate Muslims will say, this verse that says they hate all the Jews, we don't want to follow that, like Zudi Jasser, you know. But
that's the very minority. That's not the majority at all.
So far as I could see, he's got his own group of
Zudi?
one.
it was about 100. I think there's about 100 people in his.
But the main point between Christianity and Islam, thought is encouraged. Thought, interpretation, and revelation is encouraged by the individual, and also by the.
Well, there's
by
a
the church.
doctrinal difference where the doctrines of Islam lead you to the Sharia is completely opposite of the teachings of Jesus Christ. I mean, it couldn't be more different. So if two people both fundamentally follow the doctrines of their faith, Christianity takes you in one direction, Islam takes you completely in the other direction, if they're properly following the interpretive instructions of their faith.
I agree with you. That's what makes a fundamentalist Christian far different than a fundamentalist Islamist is the independent thought process.
No, it's the doctrine. It's the doctrine of the system.
With a doctrine which encourages independent thought.
Well, yeah, the system of Christianity requires independent thought. If you think independently, the doctrines that you follow take you to a good place. The system of Islam does not encourage independent thought. If you apply independent thought, you may
I think
want to
you're
leave.
penalized
You
for
might.
that.
You may want to leave town. You
Yeah.
know, because
In Christianity, God is a individual relationship with your Creator.
Correct.
In Islam, it is not. It is about the community. It's about how you're perceived. It's about everything to do with
They will say, because I've asked many of them, they will say, "Oh no, I have a personal relationship with Allah."
No, they don't.
Well, I've had a lot of conversations. They will say that, and then when you start kind of analyzing, cross-examining very gently, you see that it's really not. It's not a personal. But if you've had a personal relationship with Allah or Muhammad, give us a call, 888-565-1470. Until then, let's go to our next caller. Have you had a personal relationship with Allah? Next caller.
I have not. Hi, Tom, C.J. Black. I have not.
The Marine Dave, you have not had a personal relationship with Allah? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Have you helped anybody to have a personal and direct relationship with Allah?
I don't think so.
Happy New Year, Dave.
Interestingly enough, he lives in Pennsylvania, telling me about this pizza guy that he knows that is a Muslim. And I said, really? Oh, nice guy, Dad. I said, really? I said, let me ask you a question. How close are you? He said, well, I've known him for a couple of years now. I said, I'd like you to do this, David. You ever meet his wife? Oh, yeah. His kids? Oh, yeah. I said, would you please invite him to your house? He said, why? Because he won't come. Oh, yes, he will, Dad. He'll come because I make pizzas, he makes pizzas. Okay. So I said, remember, David, there's a word called taqiyya, and I quote from your book, Tom, Sharia, Central America, which I learned a lot about the Muslim faith. And I said, David, please do it. He said, okay. So I went up to see him one day, and whatever his name was, Muhammad or something, and he said, hey, I'd like you and your wife to come. Oh, gee, Dave, I'd like to, but I can't. And I said, well, okay, David. I said, he said, maybe it was like at a bad time, David. He said, yeah, okay. So I said, wait a week and try it again. I said, he won't come, David. He's going to tell you at some point in time that, and you asked him about the Muslim religion, and I sent him your book, and just so he could read it and indoctrinate himself on what, the subject matter. And I said, David, at some point in time, he's going to tell you that one of his friends or cousins is married to a Christian. Yeah, it ain't going to happen. I said, okay. A month goes by, he calls me back. He said, Dad, on the head. He has a sister married to a Christian. He couldn't come to the house. I said, David, they can't forge relationships. There's a word named taqiyya. They will lie to you. They'll say anything, try to be your friend publicly when they're in the minority. Once they become in the majority, forget it. So, and speaking of that part of your conversation you've been having, I have a not a personal relationship with anybody of that faith. However, my son did, and improved. That the information in your book was absolutely right, Tom. Now, on the other subject, emancipation, they want to free us. I think those government wants to free us from our weapons. I think
emancipation, weaponization.
We discuss because when Russia did it and all these other countries did it, what do? They murdered millions of people. So, and they run against there's no opposition. People fall in line like sheep. Oh yeah, we'll turn them in. We'll give you $20, $50 to $100, and then when you have no weapons, you have nothing to defend yourself or defend freedom with. And there's an article that I received in the paper from Russia. It was written, Tom, if you have your email address, I'll mail it to you. It's from a Russian author who wrote that in Russia they don't have the right to carry arms as they did before under the Tsar. And under Putin's regime, the only people who have guns are the criminals and the police, and most of the criminals are police. So
yeah.
At some point in time, if you could do a show on the Second Amendment and what they're trying to do with progressives like Hillary Clinton, it certainly would be subject matter that every gun owner who is within your audience, your listening audience, I really think should be schooled on.
Yeah, you go watch CNN last night. The British guy, who's
Piers Morgan.
He is going off the rails on it last
He's a
night.
nitwit.
He was just calling for.
He's getting ratings now. I mean, I think it's shtick. He was actually mad the early days. What did he do last night?
Well, last night he was calling for the total ban of all guns. Says, when are you guys going to wake up? That's the guns that we have to put a total ban. And when are the cops going to stand up and start rebelling and saying we're not going to protect you until we get rid of the guns on the street? I mean, he was just going off the rails as far as banning all guns everywhere, everything.
One of the fathers today, I was on the news of one of the kids that got killed at Newtown. Father had a real long ponytail, CJ, real long ponytail, and he was commenting on the story that Newtown, several of the counties up there now have put police on guard at the schools. And
well, that's a little late, isn't it?
Well, but the father said that that's a waste of time, He said, not until we take all the guns off the street will the children be safe. Right?
Okay.
I mean, okay, Dave, you, from what I understand, you spent some time in the U.S. Marine Corps.
I did.
I saw there's an email going around, and it has. Can you say the word ASS? Can you say the word ASS? You can say that word. Yes, very well. ASS. The picture had it said Mayor Bloomberg and Dianne Feinstein, all these people. They don't think a 19-year-old is mature enough to handle a firearm.
But they think an 11-year-old is mature enough to have an abortion.
I was 17 when I joined the Marine Corps.
You were 17. Well, on the back of a Humvee is a 19-year-old with a Gatling gun, all full battle gear,
Right.
and the bottom line says they neglect to understand this 19-year-old is protecting your pansy ASS. You know. Right. So yeah, that's the world we're in.
Overseas in Asia, and but when I did come home on leave, I couldn't buy a drink.
Right. You couldn't buy a drink, but you can defend the United States of America.
I've always disagreed.
All right, hey, Dave, thanks for listening. We're going to get into the Emancipation.
See you guys.
Thanks,
good talking to you.
See you soon.
Want to bring the next caller in?
Yeah, we have Judah on the line.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
all
Judah.
today?
How are you?
New Year.
Thank you very much. Same to you all. Thank you. Thank God. Feeling great. I wanted to say that the fundamental difference between, let us say, Christianity and Judaism on the one hand and Islam on the other is that in Judaism and in Christianity you are learning from, or the teacher, and in some ways emulating. In Christianity and Judaism, you're emulating two Jews. In Judaism, it's Moses, and in Christianity, it's Jesus. Both Jews and their ways and principles led to good behavior. On the other hand, in contradistinction, you have Islam, where you're learning from and emulating the ways of Muhammad, who was an Arab. He was a warlord, a rapist, a child molester, vicious and violent, and vis-a-vis the fact he was an Arab, the Bible says, the Torah says that he's descended from Ishmael, who was, they described as a peradam. Many translations say it means a wild ass of a man, or a beast in the form of a man. So that is the quintessential difference between these three religions. Although Islam also is
that's an interesting, very interesting point.
Well, there's no question that as far as the long-term maturation of Judaism or Christianity has been towards peace, and all the doctrinal scholars and experts have said, no, this is where we go, is towards peace.
Agreed.
Islam actually says it goes towards peace, but they attain that through war. They say they want to have peace, meaning submission,
Yeah,
and the world, everybody is under the cloud of Islam. The Dar al-Islam is the world of Islam. Anybody who's not in the world of Islam is in the Dar al-Harb, the house of war. That means that just that concept alone means Islam is always in a constant state of war. It never has or can have peace, because there's always going to be a differing religion out there, which is a kafir. A kafir is not just unbeliever, it's something that needs to be eradicated and killed, and its fingertips chopped off.
Agreed.
That's the difference between the three systems, if you will. And to say one is a fundamentalist and compare it to another as a fundamentalist, one is a fundamentalist towards war, the other one is a fundamentalist towards peace. And yet we try to compare those two words and lap them on them both and make them as equals is such a misnomer of comparison of words. It is completely two different meanings. Fundamentalist Islam is the ideology of war.
Because the the mainstream media is not in the business of deconstructing, defining, or being accurate with serious terms. The other interesting piece, Judah, is that, and as a Christian, I'll be the first to admit that world atrocities have been done in the name of Christianity. One of the most recent ones, Timothy McVeigh. We get that thrown at the Christian world all the time. He was if you look at the facts, and anybody can claim to be a Christian, and you have to judge their activity by the doctrine of Christianity. That's the key. The doctrines of Jesus Christ, the doctrines of Christianity, do not lead into blowing up the Murrah building in downtown Oklahoma. Notwithstanding the fact that Timothy McVeigh was not a Christian, but granted, for the sake of the discussion, it has nothing to do with the doctrines of Christianity. Conversely, blowing up, the embassies in Tanzania and Kenya are part of the doctrine of Islam to extend jihad to cause submission in the world. Yeah, we got two different systems. We got a clash of, I used to say civilizations, but it's becoming very difficult.
I don't think it's very civilized.
Yeah, it's barbarian and civilized people clashing.
Yes, absolutely.
So hey,
Muhammad was a warlord, a barbarian. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you raise that in the public context, the public forum, like we do, and people go, "Oh, how could you say that?" Well, you have to read the doctrine. You have to look at what these folks believe. You have to look at what the jihadis are following, and simply because Muhammad said at one point, "Oh, what a pretty little goat over there, a nice little animal. I love him, and Allah loves him," doesn't mean he doesn't teach a doctrine of jihad, war, conquest, and killing as a means to an end. So, but this is our mission.
And here's the funny thing about us over here in the West. Most of us are clueless about the doctrinal evidence and what happens. If you go over to the Middle East, like in Jordan, where we talk to other people who are in the Middle East who deal with the Islamists all the time, and they're like, I can't believe you guys are actually even listening to these people. We know them. They say this crap all the time.
They talk to you Westerners.
And you guys believe them? I go, how stupid are you? I go, we've been living with them forever, and they want to cause war. That's their raison d'etre, as you would say.
Yep.
Yes,
all right, Judah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good day, y'all.
Keep listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful January 2nd. So, we're talking about the Emancipation Proclamation. We are going to get into that subject matter. But these little forays into interesting stuff is good for your brain. Good for your brain.
Yeah, it is.
And one of the issues that Judah was just raising, and so did Dave, is the whole thing of Sharia. So whenever I think of the word Sharia, I always hear music. I always hear
and it
sort
isn't
of
morning mood either.
No, I always hear sort of a, what do I hear?
My Sharia. My Sharia. Never gonna stop or give it up. Killing infidels, always got it planned. Underhand, give Allah a yell. Whoa. My Sharia. My Sharia.
Oy vey. All right, there we have the Egyptian president taking over the world, Mohammed Morsi, yelling, "My Sharia, more Sharia, more Sharia." Mark, how much Sharia can we handle?
Well, this is Islamic law, and this is pretty common knowledge, Islamic law. It's called zakat.
Zakat.
And,
zakat is their charity, right?
Yes.
Their charitable giving, like tithing?
Tithing. And you give whatever it is, you give $100, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, they split
How important
and
is zakat?
And it has to be apportioned.
Oh, it's mandatory. It's obligatory. You have to. Is
it one of the 5 pillars?
Yes, it is. One of the 5 pillars of Islam.
Oh, so the 5 pillars of Islam are the fundamentals of Islam.
Right.
Yes.
You have to follow the fundamentals if you have any hope of paradise.
Right. Yes.
So zakat is one of those.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the 10 Commandments, if you will. This is way beyond.
This is way up there.
This is way up there.
People who wouldn't read that book in a million years or even follow anything
they know about
in that
zakat.
book, Everybody knows zakat.
Everybody,
so-
and
Everybody does
every
it.
mosque,
Everybody.
every
That's
mosque
how they
in
get
America,
busted
Okay,
in the
okay.
United States.
Okay.
every
I'm getting it.
mosque in
I'm digging
America
it.
is
Yeah.
required
2
to
minutes.
get
I'm getting
zakat.
it. All right,
okay?
I got it. Yeah.
Well, we talked about the other one, which is the seventh pillar the other day, which was to fund jihad. We went into that, so that's one of the.
So I donate $100.
And-
Some of it goes into fighting jihad.
yeah,
Yeah.
Who decides all this stuff?
a zakat committee.
Well, they actually have a committee. Okay,
Yeah, you send
good.
your money to the mosque aren't allowed to give them, but they
Yeah.
give it to a committee, and the committee distributes
Okay.
it, and it has to be an approved Sharia zakat committee.
All right, so what's zakat committee? What is What is the other? So
There's 8 of them.
Oh, there's 8 mandatory places
Categories,
that the.
yeah.
Right.
All right, so if I give you $8, $1 goes
A
to
dollar
each.
goes.
Okay, I got
It
it.
gets
Okay.
apportioned.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
Well, like I said, $1 is just required to go to jihad. Okay, and
Out of the 8, okay.
Out of the 8.
now the
yeah.
fifth one, another dollar is the fifth category is for slaves who are purchasing their freedom from their owners.
Oh, that's interesting. What does that bespeak?
They are given enough money to do so if they do not have the means. So that means
So we're talking about Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So Muslims have their own Emancipation Proclamation in zakat.
yeah, where they can actually give money to slaves so they can purchase their way out of slavery from Islamic people.
That
So
seems
that
like a
means
good
that
thing.
slavery is so entrenched in Islam
Islam
that
that
you
you can't-
actually have to have a
If it's-
separate category to
I missed that.
get yourself free.
Yeah,
I missed that
they're-
little-
people are just not automatically free. You actually have to buy your way into freedom.
Yeah.
Because when you conquer in Islam, when you conquer a land or you take over a land, part of your booty, your spoils,
Is some booty.
is some booty, and
booty.
men and women, and so they are actually property of the family of the man. And to buy your way out of it, you have to actually, and they don't tell you what amount you have to buy, so it could be any, amount. So they have to buy their way to freedom.
So the 2 takeaway points for our wonderful audience here is that in tithing, Muslims have a way to help slaves buy freedom, but the underlying issue is slavery was a systemic function.
Is
Because they didn't get rid of it, did they?
It's not slavery. Is still. I mean, look at the PBS
Look at
documentaries.
Sudan.
Sudan. Look at the what they do. They actually bring people over from Sudan and all these countries. They bring them into a big, huge problem over in the Middle East.
But I'm reading right here that slavery was actually formally outlawed in Turkey, country of Turkey, in 1933.
I don't care what they. Watch the PBS documentaries on the slave trade.
1933.
On the slave trade into Islam. I mean, this is PBS. This is not.
PBS, yeah.
And this is not. J. Mark Campbell or Tom Trento. This is a well-known fact.
Oh, this is very interesting because I actually have an article here on the slave trade and slave activity of Islam as it related to the Emancipation Proclamation at the same time period. And we will get into that in just a
few minutes.
moments.